I've already sort of covered this in my best figures to use in Colosseum vid I did back then, but that was kind of abridged, and it wasn't really the main focus either, so I thought I could do that better. Here we are in the character skills shop, Hero Colosseum. Just going to quickly go over the character skills that I think you should be using in the game, which ones have piqued my interest as of recent, a couple of new really good character skills they put in the game, etc, etc. So I'm not really sure what this is for when it says scenario mode. I have no idea what that even is. And it looks like it's not even that worth it because it negates all the XP and rewards from the battle, so I wouldn't bother with it. This can be really, really good, but only in specific setups. Say for example, use the original HP UR Piccolo, and behind him you put either the the attack or the more defensive version. I don't remember if he's more balanced or whatever, but anyway, the one with more attack or the one with less attack for the original Super Saiyan 4 Goku. You put either one behind that Piccolo, and it's really easy to get away with doing this. You get endless defense to your own master, as long as they don't have hit, and you continuously weaken your opponent, unless they're using something like, say, Focus Flash Vegeta. But the good thing about that is, he does not ignore defense, so it's a very easy setup to get away with. And then this one speaks for itself. This is another one worth using, provided you have good O1 units, or that's something that you do to begin with. Personally, I think it's good just as a ace in the hole. I look at it as a just in case button, pretty much. It's nice to have a plan B. And then, I don't know why you would use either of these. I suppose if you're using lower level figures, then I could see them being useful. Other than that, there are better options, I think. And again, they're only for turn 1, so really what's the point? Let's see, placement on HP is at 50% or lower for an increased chance of chase attack once only. So this is essentially a character skill that allows more chase attempts, being the counterattacks. That's really what they should have called it, in my opinion, is just chase. Or even additional, but whatever. I wouldn't really use it, though. It's very RNG, like Hero Colosseum in general. If you want to use it and want to risk it, go ahead, go for it. I don't see the harm all too much. It's a very so-so character skill, I think. Let's see, defeat one or more opponents with this unit and win the battle for 1.1 times figure EXP from the battle. I suppose if you're farming figure EXP, these aren't too bad. But it's really easy to get figure EXP in this game. Just break down figures you're not using. Honestly, when you're playing Hero Colosseum, the biggest thing that's going to make all of it, in general, far easier is TP medals. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. Let's see, defeat 2 or more opponents and their master. Let's see, and their master with an ultimate attack and win the battle for an increased item drop rate. Very situational. Don't see this one being good at all. Placement on master's HP is 50% or lower, and when all allies have been defeated for 100 on attack. We already have things like VUR speed, future go on, so I don't see the point with this one. Plus, there are just other better O1 units in general and other better character skills. Don't recommend this one. The level-specific ones here, not really a fan of. I wouldn't recommend using those either. Uppo 2 skills speak for themselves. I already kind of went over that with the STA Uppo 2. Let's see, attack Uppo 1. Basically, any of the O1 skills can be really good. If you're using a figure that you're really relying on to finish the game off with an ult, or just tilt the game more in your favor, These can be very good. Also, if you're using one figure only for whatever reason, like say for example you're using just the HP version of the first UR Piccolo, and you want to provide that much more defense to not just him, but your master as well, you can keep him around longer with defensive 01, so that's also an option. He's actually a very decent 01 unit altogether. The column skills I don't really recommend using at all. I just think there are far better options. Same with the row. I think they're far too gimmicky, too situational. I stay away from them. Attack up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9. Any of these I recommend staying away from as well. Although this looks like it could be nuts. I will say that. This looks like it could be really nuts with a very defense-focused setup where you're not building up much attack at all, and you have mostly nothing but defense. This could maybe be good, but eh. Other than that, I personally stay away from these. Same with the ultimate gauge up skills. That's actually not bad, but 30%, that's really easy to get. Like, you're going to be building that up naturally. You shouldn't need this. I personally think the every turn skills are very good. Any one of them can be useful. The numbers obviously speak for themselves, but you can easily get higher ones out of up second skills. Still not bad. These are decent. Very cheap and affordable, too. These were decent back when Hero Colosseum first came out. They've really fallen out of favor, in my opinion. So I would just stay away from these. Same with these. Let's see, place for 500 to your attack after defeating an opponent once only. These could actually be good. Thing is, your figure will need to hit decent enough and be able to kill opponents to get that to work. And it's a one-time only buff. Granted, so are the up second skills and a few other character skills that we've already gone over. But still, just 500 once for attack, eh. I think there are better options, and percentages are just a lot better in generals. And I say that because of the up A skills. We'll be getting to those. Those are still really good. Let me look at this really quick. Okay, yeah, I forget what these do. If ally's HP is 0 at the end of the turn, this is place. So that's good for, like, in the middle of the fight. Very situational, not terrible. Give it a try if you want, I suppose, but I don't think it's worth it, especially with how much the character skills cost, these in particular. Yeah, 6 and 8 TV medals is a lot to ask for. And then let's see, KDE2, place for 250 to your own attack after defeating an opponent. I want to say that's repeatable, so that might actually be really good. Unless it's a one-time only skill. Looks like it's repeatable. I don't see one-time only or repeatable. I'm going to assume it's repeatable. Let's see, attack up KDA2. Let's see, if ally's HP is 0 at the end of the turn, this is placed. Okay, again, that's middle of the fight. And it looks like that's repeatable as well. But again, that relies on you losing ally figures, which is what you don't want to happen. You want to prevent that from happening. So I would still pass on those. Let's see, place when opponent's ultimate attack gauge is 80% or higher. For plus 500 to own attack, stacks during that turn only. Suppose that might be decent if you want to run speed. Like if you're trying to outspeed them and prevent them from doing an ult attack. I would say just go for the speed instead. I don't see the need very much for either of these unless you want to stack them for whatever reason with the speed. But even then, nah. Now this, on the other hand, I could see being useful. Ultimate, let's see. I don't know why it says Alt D. Yeah, I don't know why it says D. Shouldn't it say G? Whatever. Ultimate gauge up. When the opponent's is 80% or higher, you get 50% to your own ultimate attack gauge, essentially. So that's really good to get a counter ult off, and I could see being decent for figures like the new UR Frieza, the Final Form UR Frieza, the Sergeant Emba. Pretty situational, and it's really easy to mitigate your enemy's ultimate gauge as is with not just the new UR Final Form Frieza, but ultimate gauge down every turn. Let's see, place with no ultimate attack gauge is 85% on attacks. Next turn, that turn only. Yeah, you know what, I'm gonna say that wouldn't be bad. The ally ultimate attack gauge skills, I would say those can be pretty good. Yeah, you know what, these don't look terrible. I would say they're viable, at the very least. Now, Matthias, one of his suggestions, actually piqued my interest in these skills. These damage skills, I would say they're all very good, very viable. They're slightly more expensive than some cheaper options, but still really decent overall. Up second skills are still prominent to this day, which impresses the hell out of me. I want to say they've been around since the second match of figures that came out. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me on that. But all the up second skills are great, with the exception of speed up second, because really that just defeats the purpose. This was a useless character skill they put in. You don't need to use this at all. Let's see. Place for plus 20% to your own ultimate attack damage when you go second. So if you're trying to go second, if you're liably going to go second, and you want to hit even harder, suppose you can use this, but you're going to have to sacrifice up a 1 if you're using something like that. So I frankly don't see the point. But if you're going second and you're using more than just one figure on the board, go right ahead. Could see it being useful. And then the up F and the up B skills aren't bad either. They cost about as much as the damage skills. Now, if I had to pick which are better, probably the damage skills. I'm going to have to give it to the damage skills because these stack. And it's very, very easy to stack them with defensive saps, especially. So if you're trying to use either second skills or you don't know how the game's going to go, you don't know if you're going to go first or second, this is a very good medium that they put, in my opinion. I'm glad that they put these in. And it's nice that they're repeatable also. Attack up F and attack up B, they might fall out of favor, but I wouldn't say they're terrible. Up A skills are still really decent. Pick your poison with a lot of these when spending your TP medals. And just be very, careful, because it's really easy to lose TP medals very fast in this game. This is a very interesting character skill that they put in the game, adding 500 to your master, but it's during that turn only, which I suppose isn't bad. Just use Piccolo. Honestly, you can use Piccolo things like Vados, obviously, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and the new UR Final Form Frieza. I think this is a very overall superfluous character skill, but if you don't have a couple of specific figures, why not? Wouldn't hurt. If you're really that paranoid about your master. But once you hit like level 99, like me, it's very pointless, I think, to put this on. Because, believe it or not, when you level up your own master, you actually get base defense added onto yourself. And then I don't have too much experience with this one. Which one is this? Place for +7 to the opponent's master ultimate attack gauge. Why would you give your opponent 7% to their ultimate attack gauge? Let's see, +5% to your master's ultimate attack gauge, once only. Yeah, I don't see why you would do this. I don't get it. Unless it's a typo. Yeah, very weird character skill. I'm going to say stay away from this one because it looks very confusing. Also, it costs 10 TP medals. That's too expensive. And these are very good character skills that they recently added with DLC 12. I would say if any other of the three, stick with this one. This is really good. Very cheap, too. And you can easily throw that onto things like Vado, Suisse, First You Are Piccolo, First Super Saiyan 4 Goku, things like that. And hell, I even showed off a deck from before where I have it on every single one of them. And I love how obnoxious and broken it is because it just really rubs in the fact that you cannot win against this deck. I have not run into anything that could not beat this deck. It's ridiculous. Unless it was like the Blue Goku free battle, where I had the option of using Frieza or Toa to ult with, and if I go with Toa and it's like close to turn 9, obviously that's just going to heal me, it's not going to do enough damage. And if the opponent, if Blue Goku at that point still has the SR Zamasu, it's just going to heal its own damage off until it gets to max HP, and then I'll have like less of my own Master's HP. That's the only real instance I've ever lost with this deck, but even then, just very easy to throw Frieza on the field. You pretty much, with this setup, you have to judge the situation you're in. Are you going to win the game if you put Toa on the field, or are you going to win if you put Frieza on the field to ult with? Most of the time, just use Frieza. I like to do it with Toa just to rub in the fact that the opponent can't kill me. But again, don't let the game drag on too long and you end up losing in the end. That sucks. Let's see, where were we? I think we were at the up A skills, and then the healing character skills, and then I went off on that rant. Sorry about that. I would stay away from these. I don't see the point in using them. They're really cheap, so I suppose if you're really hurting for TP medals and you don't feel like grinding them, these are options for you. Other than that, nah. Now, except this one, Ultimate Gauge down every turn. The every turn skills, I'm going to say, they're all very good. Just because they're going to be useful at every stage of the game. Or if you have a setup and you have room for a couple more character skills you're not sure what to do with, you can always throw these on there too. Let's see, if your HP falls below 50% from an attack the turn this is placed, minus 500 attack to the attacker. So that's actually not bad, but I think it's a, you can only really get away with doing that 5 times, and even then, that's once against every single one of your opponent's figures. Not all too worth it in my opinion. You can easily make them weaker with, again, things like Toa, Piccolo, Vados, etc. And keep in mind, I'm aware that a lot of that is going to come down to RNG for a lot of people out there summoning, trying to get those figures. But I'm talking in terms of, like, overall. I think these are really situational. I wouldn't recommend using them. Let's see. Placement opponent's ultimate attack gauge is 80% or higher. Minus 170. All opponents on the field stacks during that turn only. So if that were repeatable, I could see this being decent. But the fact that it's that turn only, nah. Just pass on these. Look how expensive they are, too. That's ridiculous. And then let's see. Place for minus 130 attack to all opponents on the field when you are attacked repeatable. These are actually decent. You could stack these with the increasements for, you know, your side, while also weakening your opponent. So that would actually be decent. You could stack those with these, and that would be pretty good. Yeah, I would say give them a shot. They're just as cheap, too. Let's see, attack down F. Place for minus 200 attack to all opponents in the front row. Stacks during that turn only. Too situational. It relies on having your opponent play a specific way. I wouldn't use these. I would not use these at all. It's really easy to control your own figure in your own side of the field, but not your opponent's. Let's see. Place for -200 to protect all opponents in the back row. Stacks during that turn only. Yeah, same thing. Ignore those. Place for -100 to protect all opponents on the field. Stacks during that turn only. There are better options. I would stay away from these. I would have given them a pass if they were a lot cheaper, but just because they're like 5, 5, 5, 5, and 6, yeah, no, don't bother. It's really not that big a difference. And then let's see what else we have here. Place for -500 defense to opponent's master. There are much better ways of getting around that, and there are figures in the game that ignore defense altogether. Figures that even get rid of opponent's defense, so don't bother with this. Especially since it's only for the master anyway. Your focus in Hero Colosseum should not be to take out your master. There are certain times where it's going to come down to that, but more often than not, you're going to want to deal with the opponent's figures. They're the bigger threat. Now, depending on your opponent's setup, if it's far easier to go for the master, just take out the master. But again, you don't need this. You don't. Let's see. Place for 5% to damage taken by opponent's master. Stacks during that turn only. Again, same thing. Plus, they're on the more expensive side in terms of TV medals. I would stay away from these. Let's see. Place for -5% to the opponent's master when you defeat an opponent. I wouldn't say it's worth it. It's 10 just to get one of them. That relies on you defeating the opponents as well. And you can easily just end the game by defeating all your opponent's figures to begin with. Yeah, you don't really need this. Stay away from it. And then let's see what we have here. Foe Master's HP is at 50% or higher at the end of turn 2. Reduce own Master's current HP by 25% of their max HP. And -250 attack to all opponents. I would not do that. Because you are killing your own master by using these. Do not use these at all. Plus, they're more towards the more expensive side of TP metal cost. But anyway, just to abridge, like which ones I think you should use. The damage ones, any damage, positive or negative, these are good. Ultimate down every turn. Any of the every turn skills in the game. Very good. All of these are really decent too. The only thing that really sucks is, obviously, if you want to get a bunch for a lot of your figures, you're going to be spending 4 TP medals apiece. Just get the large. That's the best one, quite frankly. Now, I have no idea if these stack, but if they do, that's something you can also do just to cheese your opponent if you want. The up A skills, every single one of them is good and viable. The attack up B and the attack up F, they're going to depend on how situational your own setup is. It really comes down to your playstyle at the end of all this. But I would just stick with up A skills, as opposed to the F and the B. And these are the same price too. Just go with the up A skills. The ones that I usually stick with are up A skills if I'm going first. And obviously the second skills if I'm going second. With the exception of speed. Do not use this. It is so pointless and seriously defeats the point of trying to go second. I don't know why this is a character skill. They didn't need to give it one. All these you can ignore. And return skills speak for themselves. And the L1 skills speak for themselves. But yeah, that pretty much does it for what I would recommend using as far as the character skills. Now, again, if you're using a certain setup where you're mostly putting your figures either in the front or in the back, then go for it. Go on and use the front and the back skills. You can even stack them with up A skills. But overall, it's going to be a lot easier to just stick with the up A skills and the up second. But anyway, I thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, where I'll probably be uploading the finale of the Super Mario World Just Keep Edition playthrough I was doing. So that'll finally be done. Till then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.